Hey, what's up everybody? It's Flo again, and welcome to our TED Talk, so to speak, for another box set. First time I told you already a couple of weeks ago when I did my box set review for Voivod's Forgotten in Space that I'm going to do something very similar for another box set, Overkill, The Atlantic Years 1986 to 1994. And that being said, I do get the irony that while I was talking to you the first time saying I'm not that crazy about box sets, now I am here with my second video about a freaking box set. But I guess that's just who I am. I'm very sorry for that, but we gotta go through this, and we're gonna get through this. So here, bear with me and hear me out. So today we're going to talk about Overkill, The Atlantic Years. I hope you can see that little nicely put together thing here on the cover. Atlantic Years 1986 to 1994. Now, it's difficult on many layers. This one was released in 2021 from Atlantic Records, consisting of 6 albums overall, starting 1986 with Taking Over, to 87 Under the Influence, 89 The Years of Decay, 1991 Horoscope, 1993 I Hear Black, and that's the first exclamation mark, and the second exclamation mark is 1994 WFO, or Wide Fucking Open. These two are really the reason why I had to get my hands onto this, because on the one hand I thought, well, that's nothing for me then, this thing, because I have the original pressings from the first 4, from 86 to 91 already with me. I do not have the original pressings from I Hear Black and WFO. WFO, I cannot have one because that never really was released on vinyl, at least back in the day, so there is no original press. With I Hear Black, it's a little bit different, but it's very hard to get your hands onto those because in 1993 CD took over and vinyl disappeared slowly but steadily, at least for such major releases. So very limited numbers were released back then, and therefore today it's very expensive to get a copy, at least a decent copy. Although that's gonna be said, just recently some copies from South Korea emerged out of nowhere. I had no idea where these were coming from. Apparently they were also released in 93, but I've never seen many of those, but just very recently, over the last, I don't know, 2 or 3 months, they were showing up on Discogs quite frequently, and I'm very surprised about that. You can get a copy of that South Korean pressing from I Hear Black for roughly 70-80 euros, plus shipping of course. Still expensive though, and therefore, well, I mean, that's why we're here today, actually. So I waited until I had a voucher and until the price dropped a little, at least. So I got my hands into this for 80 euros. Normally the price, the retail price, is around 100 to 110. Do I think it is worth it? This is a difficult answer that I cannot give you straight away. But let's go through this and see. Maybe it helps you to get a better understanding what this is all about. So, as I said, 6 records overall in this box set. First of all, if we're talking about the Atlantic Years, then I would think it would not only consist of the studio albums from Overkill, but also maybe it would include the 1987 EP Fuck You. That's the name of the EP, don't get offended. However, they kept it out. I have no idea why, but we're only talking about the studio records. So when you compare the reissues from that box set with the original ones in terms of design and sound, then let me give you one example, and you possibly see already what I mean by that. So from just the design cover artwork perspective, this is the original copy of Taking Over, and that being said, original, this is still the German press from Noise from 1986. but still, you see the cover artwork here, and now you will see the cover artwork from the box set. Original one, box set. And what you might have noticed is the original one is super colorful, it is super bright, it's jumping right into your face, while this one here looks a little bit dull. It's darker, it is not that stark and bold, and that's exactly what I could tell you about the sound. The original press, and that goes for all four, the first four, Taking Over, Under the Influence, Years of Decay, and Horoscope. I compared it with my original pressings, and sound-wise, the originals are definitely more lively, very similar to what I told you last time about the Voivod reissues in their box set. Definitely raw, maybe really up into your face. The reissues in direct comparison, they are, I don't know, they are definitely lower in sound. They're more mellow, they're straightened out somehow. You don't have that feeling of, like you would expect from an Overkill record, that full speed ahead, in your face boldness that you would expect from them. So it's definitely more on the mellow side of things, and that's exactly how all cover artworks compare with the original ones. At least there's some consistency there. That being said, if you listen to the reissues on their own, each of their own, you will be perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with them. Pressing wise, they're okay, I would say. They are pressed by G-Set Media, I think, in the Czech Republic, which is not a good way to start with to begin with. But in this case, in terms of background noise, in terms of clicks and pops, in terms of non-fills, you don't have to bother about those. They are decently put together, it's all fine. Just sound-wise, they're a little bit lower, and lower in energy, I would say, even. But as I said, they're okay. Now, let's move forward, because let's jump to the actual two reasons why I thought I need to get my hands onto those. And these two reasons, as I said a couple of minutes ago already, are these two: I Hear Black from 1993 and WFO, Wide Fucking Open, from 1994. The reason why I'm so super excited about those is, as I said, I Hear Black, hard to get your hands on the original copy. WFO never released originally to begin with. And in 2017, a German record label, Cast in Stone, run by a guy called Moritz in a city called Karlsruhe. Love the guy, but these weren't quite where you would expect them, quality-wise, especially sound-wise. When I bought them in 2017, because I love those albums, I know that they do not have the best reputation, I would say, between or in the circle, in the inner circle of Overkill fans. I love them for what they are, and when you put those from 2017 on your record player, at least my soul was dying inside, slowly and in pain, because they didn't sound well at all. They claimed back in the day that they got their hands on the original master tapes from Atlantic, and everybody was like, yeah, come on, who are you kidding? No way. Now looking and listening to the ones from the box set, Moritz might have been right, because they still do not sound good. I'm super disappointed to tell you, but they don't. Especially Wide Fucking Open is close to being a disgrace, and it's unworthy that Overkill put something out like this. I'm not sure if anybody from the band said, okay, go ahead, and we're fine with this, or if Atlantic just said, screw you, we're putting it out anyway. But WFO doesn't sound good. The only way where you get into this fairly similar range of where it was from the original CD version You put your EQ bass on 11, literally, and you completely remove all the highs. Then if I tell you that, you would go, well, Florian, that would sound like crap, doesn't it? And you're right. Normally, if you put that equalizer on any album, it would actually sound like crap. In this case, for WFO, yeah, you're getting there, at least sort of. Not quite. It's definitely much, much lower. It has almost no bass. I guess they had to do vinyl remastering for this one because the original recording was so bold and so tight and so super fat and big that they potentially had the concern that the needle will jump into infinity if they're not doing anything about it. What they have done now with it is very, very, very underwhelming, especially if you love that record like I do. Really very difficult. Still, I kept it, of course, because that's me. I'm a very loyal and stupid metal fan. And talking about loyal metal fans, if we're talking also about I Hear Black, this is not where it should be. I know only the version from the CD back then, from 1993. This version here sounds better than WFO on vinyl, definitely. I know that many Overkill fans have their concerns with I Hear Black in particular. Back then, Overkill opened up their sound quite significantly, I guess under the influence from, pun intended, under the influence from grunge and alternative metal back then. It has a very dark tone overall. It is very gloomy. It is Sabbathy, maybe at times even. But the riffs are 100% on point. Excellent stuff, if you ask me. I think this is a very, very underrated record overall. For me, it's up at least maybe top 7, I would say. And that being said, I love all the Overkill albums until 1994. Just after that, I thought they were deviating a little bit from their usual quality. But I love it. It's, as I said, also a little bit underwhelming. And now, putting everything together from what you just heard, is it really worth having this thing? I don't know, you gotta make a choice. But what I can tell you is, if you are, for whatever reason, not too crazy about storming through Discogs and looking for a decent original copy for which you wouldn't have to pay a fortune, then you could go for this one. On the other hand, for Taking Over Under the Influence and maybe The Years of Decay, you can find a decent copy around 30 to 50 euro on Discogs. Is it worth owning an original copy over this? If you're not crazy about I Hear Black and we are not crazy about WFO, yeah, okay, then go with the originals and leave that thing here aside. On the other hand, the 3 remaining ones, Horoscope, of course, I Hear Black and WFO, if you are particularly into those albums, especially Horoscope is very expensive to get an original copy. The repress that had been done by Rhino a while ago, that doesn't sound good at all, so leave that aside. But if you are into those, my recommendation is, and if you're an Overkill fan, of course, I mean, that's of course a prerequisite, right? But if you're an Overkill fan, if you're into those albums, if you even want to have the full scope of their discography from the early days, definitely, I would say go for it. Wait until this thing drops in price, maybe around 80 euros. Not sure what this is in dollars then, maybe 90? Somewhere in that area. Grab it and have fun with it and play the shit out of them, because these are legendary albums by a 100% legendary band. I think they are one of the most consistent bands in thrash metal, at least until a certain point in the 90s, where, like I said, it's digressed a little bit, until they returned pretty well with Ironbound in 2010. But overall, it is worth it if you get along with the sound, if you get along with, I think a little, the effort that had been put into this was, I would need to say, underwhelming. I do not believe that Overkill deserved such a release. All records are black. There are no fancy colors, which I kind of dig. But there's no bonus. There is no book. There are no liner notes. There are no bonus tracks. It's literally just those 6 albums put together into a box and shipped out. If you dig that kind of stuff, go ahead, by all means. If not, look for the original pressings. I think that's it. We're now at 50 minutes. I tried to keep it way shorter than the last time. Maybe some people will still survive and are still with me after 15 minutes. To those of you, hey, and thanks for watching, everybody. Maybe until the next time. It's Flo. It was about Overkill, the Atlantic years 1986 to 1994. Take care, my friends. See ya.